Inside of me, there are two wolves. There's ones that talk about Jelly Roll and Randy Orton versus Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre. And there's one wolf who needs a damn cigarette because Takeshita and Bandido just put on a match of the year candidate on ROH Supercard of Honor 2025. Huge part of All In weekend. My goodness, what a show. We're going to be relying heavily on SP3 because I was split watching this with SmackDown as I just finished up my hosting duties here, hanging out with SP3 like old times, my friend. I miss our Thursdays together, but when the chance to do an ROH post show for a pay-per-view came up, I said, hell yeah, we know who to call. It's SP3 who's got you on lock. I'll be the distracted host, but excited to talk about what I did see with the show. SP3 in general, week to week, we'd have plenty of complaints. Pay-per-views, we never had complaints about because ROH has always been an in-ring focused promotion, and it's a whole hell of a lot of fun to watch. What did you think kind of just overall of the show tonight before we dive in?
A really good show overall tonight. I thought that all the wrestling was really well done. They did set some stuff up for the future as well, which I really wasn't expecting from the show, but you can kind of see what they're kind of building to next. And it makes sense that they would do that because their next pay-per-view is 2 months. I am not used to that with Ring of Honor, where they only have a 2-month span before the next pay-per-view. So they had to set some of stuff up that was for 0 Hour tomorrow, as well as probably for the next pay-per-view with how they closed the show. So I really enjoyed this show, but it went from just a good show to a really, really good show with that main event. That main event it reminded me so much, Kate, of like the WrestleMania weekend when NXT would steal the show and they would have these banger matches with like the Johnny Garganos, the Tommaso Ciampas, the Adam Coles. But this right here, I knew it would be great. I did not know I was going to see a match of the year candidate. I knew this would be great, but I didn't know it was going to be otherworldly. This was otherworldly to close the show.
You know, it's kind of funny because I was talking about this on a prediction show I did on my own channel earlier today. Like, when you look at the all-in card, I was like, my expectations for Adam Cole and Kyle Fletcher are pretty high, despite that not being like the sexiest match on the card. And I'm looking at this card and I'm like, I think that match is genuinely going to be great. And it might be the worst match on the show because it's such a steep card. And similarly, I feel like Takeshita and Bandido is something we'd all be talking about if it wasn't in the mix of a weekend that had this insane situation around it. Insane in a very, very positive way. But I'm not surprised that we're sitting here talking about Bandido and Takeshita having a match of the year candidate. But I am surprised that we're sitting here talking about it, right? Because it kind of just like snuck in. And we are going to go out of order today because we are starting this at 11:30 Eastern, 4:30 SP3's time. So we're going to talk about the juiciest stuff up front. But we do encourage you to get in your super chats and humper chats at humperchats.com. We'll take a quick minute to also plug FightfulSelect.com. Shawn was at this show, and I'm so excited to hear about his live experience when he returns. But he was at this show. His favorite performer in the world is Syuri Kondo, so I was so glad to see that she showed up because he's been talking about her a lot, and he loves her. And it's funny, that's something that's become one of my favorite things in wrestling is like, when something cool happens with Despy, I think of Charlie from Wrestle Purists. When something cool happens with Shibata, I think of Lyric. Like, you start to kind of put people synonymously with your friends, and I'm like popping for that as much as anything. But all that to say, Shawn's in Dallas, but FightfulSelect.com, the scoops have already started. We got a thread up there for you, rocking and rolling. The news that the women's match was going to be the co-main event or the semi-main event was a part of it. So that probably tips off the ending for you a little bit too. If Athena was dropping, I think it would be pretty obvious she's going to do that in the proper main event slot. But plenty more going on FightfulSelect.com this weekend. Weirdly, Alex Pulowski and I will not be back there for All In because we're going to be on this channel to talk about that. But we've got scoops for you and all sorts of news happening there and updates from Shawn from Texas. But let's get to these chats, and then we're going to start with the main event first Pieces said WWE bringing in Jelly Roll and AEW bringing in Syuri tells you everything you need to know about these companies.
These are not the same. These are not the same companies.
No.
I
It's a little Barbenheimer. It's giving Barbenheimer. You've got kind of like the Barbie pop music on Fridays that's doing very well with a very large audience and group of people. And then you have like the experimental jazz nerds who are over here digging that Syuri Kondo shows up at ROH. And I think that's a beautiful spectrum in ROH, in all of wrestling. I will say ROH and SmackDown both feel like their weekly television is pretty neglected as far as creative care goes. So maybe they're not so different. Do you think Takeshita versus Jelly Roll would steal the thunder of what we saw in tonight's main event?
I think Takeshita could have a 5-star matchup with anybody. I think that we need to have serious conversations. I messaged my friend who's a big Takeshita fan. Shout out to Jimmy Macaram on AE Ramble on True Hill. He loves Takeshita. He's like, Takeshita's one of the best. He said Takeshita is the best male wrestler in the world today. And I literally messaged him after this matchup. I was like, you gotta watch it because I know you're not watching it. He only watches Dynamite, really. So I was like, you gotta watch this. And I think we need to have a serious conversation that Takeshita might be one of, if not the best Japanese wrestler of all time. Like, I think that's the type of of all time. I think like the way he is able to move in the ring, the facial expressions, that look of just complete daze and exhaustion as Bandido was about to do the moonsault slam. I just get so enthralled by his work. The little details to his work, his facial expressions, his body language, it's top notch. It's up there with your Masawas, with your Kobashis. Like it's hard to kind of grade wrestlers nowadays in comparison to like the all-time greats, like those guys that I just mentioned, your Ricky Shochus, your Great Mudas, your Jushin Thunder Ligers. Like, it's so hard to compare them, but I think that he's in that conversation now. He's the best wrestler in the world to me, and he just gets it on another level, that he could take a match on a Ring of Honor show that not a lot of people were talking about heading into this week. And I think that despite tomorrow looking like it's going to be a show of the year candidate and it's going to have multiple match of the year candidates, I'm still going to be talking about this matchup. I'm still gonna remind people, even after tomorrow's show, no matter how great it is, I'm going to be like, but did y'all see that Takeshita matchup on Friday night?
With Bandido? Yeah. I think Takeshita's on my list that if you tell me you think he's the best wrestler in the world, I don't know if I agree with you, but I can't disagree with you. Like, there's no reason I can go through my Rolodex and say you're wrong about that idea. And he is a phenom, and it's kind of funny because I think some people have forgotten this guy's the most employed wrestler. He has 3 contracts right now. He has the G1 coming up, and he's in the Callis family, which is like low-key maybe the best stable from a talent perspective in wrestling right now. Like, even down with like the liaison members, like they have Echicero. Like, it's nuts to me. So I love this use of him because realistically he is going to do the G1. He's going to be away for a decent stretch of television. So what's something exciting we can do with him that's probably not going to have super long-term consequences that need to be answered for right now? A match like this. And let's not forget about the other half of this match with Bandido, who is doing some inspired work. That is a hallmark of the ROH championship when anybody that's not Chris Jericho has had it. It's a work rate belt in a world championship belt. Sometimes that gets saved for mid-card titles, but that's not like the spirit of ROH. That's, I think, what was so frustrating about that Jericho reign. Bandido doing just some outstanding work with this title. There's no creative effort put into it, but the matches he's been putting on are insane. And this was when I had to watch out of the corner of my eye, unfortunately, because I was on stream. But what I was just seeing as I was like, when people say styles make matchups, this is what they're talking about. Because not only the styles, but the differential in size. When you're an expert at your style and knowing your size and how to work with someone of the opposite, and both sides of the coin are expert levels. And I mean, these are guys that put in their 10,000 hours probably on like a literal expert level. If you're a subscriber to that belief, like, this is the magic that can be created. Let's go through some of these super chats, and then I'm going to lean on you for some details about this. C. Delgado saying, what a show, what a main event. Now follow up, TK. Been asking for that for 2 years. So not to be pessimistic on what was a really, really fun show, but I just can't get my hopes up anymore. It hurts my feelings. Adrian Carpenter said SP3 was Bandido versus Takeshita the match of the year. I think it was. He also had sent in a super chat at the end of the SmackDown show that I missed, just basically gassing up this main event and this entire show. Where does this stand with like a Kenny versus Gabe for you? How are we feeling about it? Do you have recency bias? Where are we at?
Yeah, like I was like, I literally had to think about it in my head. I was like, I would probably only say the only matches that are better than this year is Kenny versus Gabe and Hangman versus Will Ospreay from Double or Nothing. Hangman versus Will Ospreay is still my match of the year. That might change by tomorrow night after All In. That might definitely change because Okada's versus Omega, and that's like the greatest match ever that I've seen. So if they can recapture that magic, that might pass it. But I would say it's Hangman and Ospreay, it's Gabe and Kenny number 2. And then I think that this is in the mix with like your Will Ospreay versus Takeshita from Spring Breakthrough, Saray versus Syuri from Stardom, the Tam Nakano versus Saya Kamitani matchup from Stardom, the Hollywood ending with Timeless Toni Storm and Mariah May. Like those are the matches that I've given 5 stars to. This was a 5-star matchup. This is one of the best matches of the year. And you're absolutely right. I'm just a huge Takeshita mark. That's my guy. I love Takeshita as much as anybody else. But you're absolutely right. Bandido deserves so much credit because 2024, Takeshita was like great. But then he went to Japan for the G1 and he just became easily one of the best wrestlers in the world. And I think we have seen that happen before our eyes over the last month, but in a different way with Bandido, where Bandido went back to Mexico and went to Arena Mexico and had that epic match of the year candidate with Masquerada Dorada at the CMLL AEW ROH show, had these killer matches with Mystico with some of the best crowd reactions and just fluid lucha libre style match there, and then the tag team match with him and Hologram versus Mystico and Masquerada Dorada, like 3 back to back straight up bangers that you just have to see and be like, wow, Bandido is right back into top form and maybe even better than he was before the injury. And now he's come back to America, to AEW, and he's been tearing it up. He's had like, for me, like I said before, I review Dynamite every week, AE Rambo, and I think there's been 4 straight weeks where I've gave the match of the week to the match of the night to Bandido. Sure. The 4-way with Takeshita, Roddy, and Mark Briscoe. That was ridiculous. Ridiculous match. There was that trios match with the Bucks and Takeshita versus Bandido and Paragon, and then this week with Proto Cheetah versus Bandido and Brody King. And spoiler alert for this show, he had the match of the night again. Like, he has been stealing the show every night out. He has become one of the best luchadors in the world. He might be number 2 to Mystico, and the only reason Mystico's number 1 is because he's the top draw in Mexico. That's the only reason. Sure. That's the only reason you would have to give it to Mystico over him. But he's like number 2. He's top 2. He's top 3, and he's not number 3. He's definitely number 2 right now because he's been killing it. Absolutely agree.
Shout out to, I mentioned Lyric Wrestling before. She does some of the best international coverage of pro wrestling, and she's been saying a lot of she's really been keeping the Bandido conversation very forward. And something that I noticed with Bandido when she had kind of been posting about certain things, it was like what you just mentioned of, it's also in so many different contexts. I feel like you said when he went back to the CMLL Super Show with ROH and Takeshita going back to the G1, I felt this way about Wheeler Yuta and ROH. When wrestlers are extra comfortable in certain environments, it does something. I don't know if it's like them just getting to relax more and feel more at home. I don't know if it's they just lean into something and they can take that with them. But Wheeler Yuta in a pure match in ROH was like the most in his element I've ever seen that guy. I feel like when Takeshita's in Japan, the presentation just does something where he's like, there's a little just extra with him. And Bandido, I feel like is with people that are just like speaking the same language of as him in a wrestling sense, like opponent wise, crowd wise. What I've noticed as I'm not like the biggest Lucha fan, but as I've been watching CMLL and Triple A, I've been noticing like crowds in Mexico just are they pop for completely different things than American crowds, which of course, and watching Japanese wrestling, that's the case too, but it's been extra present. And I feel like when wrestlers are gauging live reactions, they're not waiting for as much character stuff. It's like, I do something insane in the ring, I get a reaction is something that's very vivid, or the in-ring stuff is just so through the execution of the storytelling. If it's not like your Mr. Iguanas of the world or whatever, that I feel like he's just like, this is the groove that I'm familiar with, and things have just like taken off in a bit of a different stratosphere for that guy. But let's keep these chats coming. Thank you so much. Valab saying, it's me, Valab. You can see from my mean mugging profile picture the way we love you around here. Another ROH pay-per-view with bare minimum expectations that gets blown the F out. Yeah, I mean, that's the story of ROH. The talent deserves so much better than that. I won't harp on that too much today because today's a celebration and I complain about that every other week all the time.
They need more pay-per-views. Can we have a conversation about that? They need more pay-per-view. This is the first time that me and Kate are doing a post show for a pay-per-view in a year because I went to Final Battle in December. Battle in December, so I wasn't on the post show for that. So this is the first time we're doing a post show in a year. That's ridiculous. When they deliver this type of stuff, you need more than 3 pay-per-views, Tony. Like, come on.
It's infuriating too, because I actually feel like I would love to cover things like Global Wars, and I would love to cover things like if they had more specials. I don't need it being TNA where every 2 weeks we have a special, but like I kind of like the quarterly pay-per-views because I like how much breathing room there is in that. But I would cover the specials if they gave a crap about their weekly television, because those checkpoints would mean something, but they just don't, unfortunately. But Matthew Hook saying what I think we have all been saying. Honestly, ROH was awesome. Carried into weekly TV. Yeah, I would love that. Would love it if they cared. Rafael Garcia is saying, well, I only saw clips. Bandido looks weird in trunks, and that Michael Oku guy, something special. Someone should sign him. AEW should sign him. If they got a TV deal, I could see him being a champion very quickly. Very, very quickly.
Yeah, he's the type of guy that you would put on a Ring of Honor and make him one of like the cornerstones, and he could you could basically just redo the story of him in Rev Pro, where he started off in like a tag team, and him and Connor Mills won the tag team titles. Then he went to the cruiserweight division and had this long feud with El Phantasmo, and then won the cruiserweight title there after winning the British J Cup. And then he eventually moves up to the heavyweight scene, has that epic matchup with Will Ospreay that was 5 stars. He lost that, and then would have to wait like another year before he would win the world championship, and then eventually has that 6-star matchup with Will Ospreay that makes him the face of UK independent wrestling. And I've said it since I've been out here in the UK, like UK independent wrestling is where it's at. Like we're both from the East Coast, and like the East Coast had it on lock from like the early 2000s into the 2010s, but like mid to late 2010s, kind of after they recovered from WWE trying to pilgrimage them, the UK independent scene has had it on lock, and into the 2020s they're still killing it. And Michael Oku's a big part of that. He's the face of UK independent wrestling to me. It's him. It's the Leon Slaters. It's your TK Coopers. It's your Luke Jacobs. Like, these are the guys that I see if I go to a Progress show, if I go to a Rev Pro show, if I go to a small indie that's closer to where I live. Like, it's those guys. If I see them on the card, I'm like, okay, this is where it's at, because these are the faces of UK independence.
Truly, that scene, like between NXT UK, people have mixed reactions to that, so I won't speak in absolutes, because a lot of people's dreams came true because they started NXT UK. Yeah. People that are independent wrestling fans of the UK tend to have a more sour view because they feel like they gutted the scene, and they weren't productive with a lot of the talent that they gutted. So those are kind of the both sides of the coin on that. Then Speaking Out came, and a lot of that was at specifically like the English and European independent scene, which was brutal and very unfortunate. But what I love to see is like this was a big deal for Will Ospreay when he signed with AEW because he knew he was going to have to give some of that up, and that's something he was very vocal about. Like Zack Sabre Jr. will sometimes go back and wrestle someone in front of 100 people because they really, the people that weathered that, I think, really give a crap. Really give a crap. So it's nice that there's a sense of people taking care of a scene that got nurtured because it bears the fruit of things like this, right? So Michael Oku is incredible. Let's talk a little bit more about the main event. Anything specific that you want to call out as far as spots? Some of these matches are like, you got to just go watch them. We should note that if you go to watchroh.com and sign up for the weekly, this is included in your Honor Club subscription. You don't have to pay extra. So if you're like, I'm not really ready shelling out money this weekend, it is just the $9.99 that gets you there. Feels like a ripoff for the weekly TV, feels like a bargain on the pay-per-view. So you do get the entire library as well. But if you are looking to go back and watch this, it's not going to break your bank in that sense. Anything you want to talk about from the main that we didn't cover already?
So they had early on, it was they kind of had like the filling out process, so it started off a little bit slow, but it was good to start off slow because of what we would get later on in the matchup. I was not expecting blood in this matchup, but as soon as Takeshita rips open the mask, and especially I thought it was weird that Don Callis was going off commentary because it felt like too early for him to go off commentary because I love Callis on commentary, but I'm sure he's trying to save himself for Okada and Omega, which I've said it was, I'll say it a million times. He put on one of the greatest commentary performances of all time in Okada Omega 4. I still hear hook the leg in my head to this day. Now 7 years later, I still hear Calix saying that when Kenny got the pin. So I expect him to put on a virtuosa at the commentary table tomorrow. Hopefully Nigel is on there as well with him for that matchup. But I think that was one reason, but also I think that, you know, he can trust Ian and Caprice because they tell the story and they're so great together. And for matches like this, they're so good with just them two. They don't need a third person. They can just flow off of the matchup and they get very excited. So it gets you more excited, it gets you more amped up as the viewer watching at home. And I thought Ian and Caprice did an incredible job with the play-by-play and the color commentary on this matchup. But yeah, I was kind of taken aback by Callis going off of commentary so early, but like then we get the steel chair involved. You get Rocky handing Takeshita the steel chair, and it looks like he's about to hit him, but he misses, and then Bandido goes and tries to do the tope suicida, and Takeshita just kind of has the chair up, and Bandido doesn't go into it just hard. And you know, I knew right then and there after he splits open the mask and the way he split open the mask, I was like, oh, we're gonna get some color in this. Okay, that's cool. But when Bandido gets the color, it's like this matchup starts becoming a little bit more serious, and it kind of gets you like, okay, how is this gonna go? And he does the brain buster on the ramp, and he goes back into the ring, and they're saying, oh, I love the commentary when they point out when wrestlers aren't smart too, because commentary was like, well, he can't win the title by count out, but it also makes Bandido look like this valiant kind of fighting babyface champion, so that was good. And then they just started like giving you these awesome sequences. You get the Takeshita German suplex into a Blue Thunder bomb. You get the strike exchanges with Bandido hitting him with the backhand, and then they just collapse on each other, selling the exhaustion of it all. I love Bandido hitting the X knee and then going for the 21 plex. He hits the 21 plex, but that's the big kick out, and that took things from like the third gear to a fourth gear. And then this crowd was incredible. This crowd was on their feet for like the final 15 minutes of this matchup. Like, I thought that the crowd was incredible. You get the near falls on the frog splash. You get the moonsault slam off the top, and Takeshita kicks out of that. Takeshita hitting the bastard driver into the German suplex. I really thought Takeshita had the win at this point. Like, when he hits that combo and then hits the power drop.
Had some people biting big time.
Yes.
Big time.
Yes, he hits the power drive knee. I was like, okay, it might be it. He picks him up for the raging fire. I was like, oh, it's gonna be over. Takeshi's gonna win the ROH world title, which is not out the realm of possibility. I also like, because if you remember, Nick Wayne won the ROH TV title right before the Best of Super Juniors tournament, so they have no issue of having the any Ring of Honor title over in Japan for a month. They have no issue with that. So it was in the realm.
As long as it's not an ROH, they don't care where it is. Like, it just can't be on ROH weekly television. That's the problem. It can be anywhere else but ROH. AEW, CMLL, New Japan, Independence, Wrestling Society X, Wrestlelicious, they don't care. Just as long as it's not on an ROH weekly show. Anything but that. But go on.
But yeah, when he goes up for the Raging Fire, I'm like literally convinced. I'm still laughing at it. Yes, it's true. They won it anywhere but the show. When he goes for the Raging Fire and then he reverses it to the small package, I was like in shock. I was like, wait, what? That's it? Oh shit! The finish came out of nowhere. I love the finish. Love the final stretch of this matchup. The selling was on point. Like I said, Takeshita with his facial expression, where he has this after he takes the 21 plex, he has this look of like dazed confusion and exhaustion all at the same time. It's so great. Bandito's body language was on another level throughout this matchup, especially after he gets split open and he's kind of got the the dizzy kind of drunk uncle at the barbecue walk as he getting back into the ring after he gets brain busted on the ramp. It was so good on every level. Like, I have the highest praise for this matchup. This is the best Ring of Honor matchup since the FTR Briscoe series. This might be one of the greatest ROH world title matches of all time. And I am a guy that started watching Ring of Honor right off the back of the Bryan Danielson world title reign, which if you watched me and Kate doing Ring of Honor weekly, where I gave you all my lists, I told you Bryan Danielson, the greatest Ring of Honor world champion of all time. Sorry, Nigel. I love you, Nigel, on commentary, but sorry. You're number two, number three. You, Joe, Bryan, y'all are the top three, but Bryan is the best Ring of Honor world champion of all time. And he had so many instant classics, whether it was Kenta or Nigel, Roderick Strong, Colt Cabana, the list goes on and on with Bryan's reign, the fight of the century with Samoa Joe. That was an epic one as well. But this one goes right up there because it's like otherworldly. The chemistry that they had was absolutely phenomenal. Like, I've seen them have great matches before. I remember the 2023 Rampage matchup that they had. But this is what I'm saying with Bandito being so improved. Like, he went to Arena Mexico. He went back home to Mexico, and he got the Super Saiyan powers that Takeshita got in the G1 last year. Like, he just has become another level. He's evolved. He's like the Pokemon that's evolved to his final form at this point, and Takeshita's been on that for a year. So them getting in here in front of that hot crowd, oh, chef's kiss. One of the best matches of the year. Like I said, the best Ring of Honor match since the FTR Briscoes series, and that's the highest praise I can give it.
I think there's something really telling about the fact that this match was very much thrown together through a series of multi-man matches, and it's still in the match of the year conversation, because everything else that you named on the men's side especially, by the way, I loved how much your 5-star matches was like pretty even between women and men's wrestling. That just rules. It tells you how great the talent pool on the women's wrestling side is right now. But the fact that this had no story and is still in the same breath as Kenny and Gabe Kidd, which had a very strong story. Hangman and Ospreay had a very, very strong story. The fact that this is even in the same ballpark is that tells you how well the in-ring story delivered and how well the in-ring pro wrestling just quality and caliber was. I can't wait to go watch it proper because I was watching it out of the corner of my eye, and I could still feel the moments, even watching it distracted, that you were talking about of like how they were going into the next gear each time. I'll also just say before we start talking about this women's semi-main event, there's something really fun. You mentioned how hot the crowd is. When a crowd is at an ROH pay-per-view for an ROH show, they are like the hottest crowd ever because they're there to see ROH. When they are at the weekly television, it's like a fucking funeral because they are the leftovers of an AEW Dynamite taping or a Collision taping. Like, they are an exhausted crowd that stuck around to maybe see some of their favorites. It feels like you're doing homework in those crowds. And when I don't knock the ROH weekly product to sour on it, I just feel like the talent deserves so much better. So when I have these inflections of negativity tonight, I want you to know, like, I love ROH so much and I want it to be a great product on a weekly basis because I feel like when we get things like these pay-per-views, when we see the talent that is involved, like, it can be so great. It can be so great. So I'm intrigued to see where this goes. I feel like we have this conversation pretty much every pay-per-view, but the fact that there's another pay-per-view in 2 months does make you feel like they almost don't have time to cool down because they got to turn it right back around, right? So we'll see what happens. Jules saying, thoughts, Oku and Persephone showed out. As usual, ROH's pay-per-views delivers. Put the tag titles on the Infantry, you cowards. Let's just talk about that now, and then we'll ping pong back to the women here. We did have the Sons of Texas versus the Infantry with Trish Adora. Swanton Bomb from Sammy Guevara on Shawn Dean. SP3, when we were covering the weekly product a year ago, you said they were going to crown these guys and they were going to make us wait a year to drop them so that they could do it in Texas. And I said, no way they're going to wait that long. And now they still have them.
I told you. I told you. Just because they're from Texas.
The ever-loving F do the Infantry, Shane Taylor Promotions, etc. have to do to have just any headway in this promotion, SP3? Like, they are such a great act, like a great, I believe, money printing, producing act. I don't know how many ways or times I can say that Trish Adora's ceiling is, I mean, skyscrapers above what they've been giving her. I love the Infantry. I love the entire act of Shane Taylor Promotions. I'm exhausted by the fact that Texas is the reason that people have titles. That's ridiculous. Shout out to Dustin Rhodes, who signed a 6-year extension. That was great news to hear. He, just for his wrestling mind and the way that he talks about how much he loves AEW and the almost like with a reverence about how much he loves pro wrestling and what AEW has done for it. Great guy to have around. He can still go. He's still a great performer. Why he's an ROH tag champ for this long?
NTN.
The hell if I know.
Because he needs to be a double champion. Because
he
Texas.
Super doesn't, because we're going to talk about those 6-man titles as well. The Infantry are great. There's a fantastic act. There's a level of diminishing returns when you have a group that keeps calling their shot, is arrogant, works in a bit of a cocky way. But like, you can't keep calling your shot and then losing. That just makes you a loser. So I don't know where you go from here with the Infantry. Match from everything I saw was good. Like, I think these guys are great, and Sammy Guevara, I think, is a better babyface than people give them credit for. I was waiting for maybe him to turn, because I just don't know what we're doing otherwise. But what did you think of this match and booking?
You know, with Takeshita and Bandido, I was just, enjoying the, state of the art pro wrestling between two of the best, or two of the most underrated. Because I see in the chat someone said Omega and Ospreay are the best wrestler, but Fletcher and Takeshita are closing in fast. No, Takeshita's there. Takeshita's in there. He's in there with Omega and Ospreay. He's not closing in. He's already there. He's right next to them. He's racing. He's racing that race
in the same way yet. Like
No,
I'll
no,
say
he's
that.
he's
Like,
no,
I
no,
think
no.
they're
That's true.
picking their
That's true.
spots for that. Yeah.
That's true. But if you were watching everything that Takeshita's doing, especially his stuff in New Japan, his stuff this year, and you just look at his year, he started off the year with a great matchup with Shingo Takagi in the Tokyo Dome, then had an even better matchup with Tomohiro Ishii in the Tokyo Dome. You look at his stuff in New Japan Pro Wrestling, he had 3 great matches with Boltin Oleg, who no one else has had a great match with Boltin Oleg, but he put him over as the never open weight champion. He put over.
I was the only one who felt that way about Bolton. Like, no offense to him. I think he serves a very specific role extremely well, but like,
yes,
outstanding matches in a place with the work rate that New Japan has. I feel like you're right in that Takeshita elevated him. I think that's a very fair conclusion to draw for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Takeshita took him to another level, crowned him never open weight champion. He had great matches with El Phantasmo this year, again, after their 5-star matchup last year. He's about to have killer matches in the G1. He's facing Zack Sabre Jr. in the G1. This new bully, back to bully submission expert, Zack Sabre Jr., bully techer, Zack Sabre Jr. as a 2-time IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. He's gonna face him. He's gonna face Phantasmo again. He's gonna have so many great matches in the G1. And y'all saying he's not in that same category. Y'all not watching what I'm watching. The Ospreay matchup, match of the year candidate. Come on. The Kenny Omega matchup at Revolution. What we talking about? Just because he ain't pushed like these guys in AEW, don't mean he ain't in the same. He's in the same race. You could say, oh, he's a little behind them, but he's in that same race with Omega. I was going to say, when you look at his output compared to Omega, at least, even Ospreay's not having the 2024, 2023, where he would have like January through February 5-star matches. It took him until like Revolution to have a 5-star matchup this year. This is a slower pace. He's picking and choosing his
Revolution, which was in February, by the way.
It was in April. It was in the beginning of March.
Okay.
But by then, Takeshita had like 4 great matches already. I'm just saying, like, you got to look at the output. I'm just looking at the.
I will say, in defense of that chat, the 2 names that it was saying it was not at the level of yet were Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. So I think that's I don't think that's an out of place thing. And I will also remind you that Will Ospreay was coming off of the C2 before the Revolution match where he had
fair.
Darby Allin's best match since MJF probably.
Literally, the person who said that started off this show by saying his 2 best matches of the year was Will Ospreay versus Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega versus Game King. But I'm just saying, we gotta put Takeshita in the same category. But no.
Shout out to SB3, who has never liked the Sons of Texas and is now just veering in a completely. You know what he did? He was like, if I can mention Zack Sabre Jr. to Kate, we won't have to talk about the tag match. He's like, I know Kate well enough that if I veer far enough into G1 land, we won't have to talk about the tag match. And I respect your approach.
I swear I was gonna get back to my point. But my point was, I was watching state-of-the-art wrestling with Takeshita and Bandido. I didn't really care who won. I was emotionally invested in who won in this tag team title match. I cannot tell you, Kate, how much I wanted to jump through the screen because I'm yelling at Shawn Dean to pin him, pin Dustin, when Shane Taylor comes out and blasts him in the head with the tag team title, and Shawn Dean's over here like, I love you, Shawn Dean. You tagged me and Krista after we praised you and Prince Nana and Carlie Bravo having the blackest pro wrestling matchup of the year and betting money and drinking Hennessy while Shane Taylor and Swerve Strickland beat the hell out of each other. I am part of the STP, the Infantry set. I love you, but I wanted to jump in the screen and put your body over Dustin Rhodes because I needed them to lose the titles. And you didn't do it. You let me down. You let me down. I've hated the Sons of Texas as a concept. I don't hate Dustin Rhodes. I don't hate Sammy Guevara. But the way they told this story,
you hate Texas. I get it.
The way they told this story.
On Texas.
The way they told this story of them having one match before they won the tag team titles, and then they held the tag team titles for a year, and then I gotta deal with these faceless Twitter accounts who are telling me they're an historic tag team title reign because they defended it in the Tokyo Dome against the House of Torture. The House of Torture. The House of Torture. What are we talking about?
I have fun every time I'm with SP3 on screen. I had fun on the True Heel Heat prediction show with him and Cresta. But SP3 at 5 a.m. his time, coming off of a match of the year candidate, is a version of him I need in my life as frequently as possible. Because I am loving every minute of this.
On the pre-show. On the pre-show. On the pre-show.
It was a pre-show House of Torture, man.
It's pre-show House of Torture. And he said it's historic. I will never forget that. I don't remember this guy's name. I just know it was a faceless Twitter account who argued for me. Like 20 tweets back and forth. He's like, this is a historic raid. They defended it in the Hammerstein Ballroom. They defended it in the Tokyo Dome. Okay. In forgettable matches.
Doesn't make it historic, by the way. Like,
yes, exactly. Exactly my point. That was my point. My God. They just had forgettable matches. I can't name you one great Sons of Texas match. They had a very good matchup with the Kingdom, that no DQ or Texas street fight. I don't even know if they're in Texas, but I'm just calling it a Texas street fight that they had on Collision. And I remember that match. That was really good. But the Sons of Texas have been champions for a year, y'all. They're about to pass the Kings of Wrestling, Claudio Castagnoli and Chris Hero, as the longest reigning Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions of all time. And y'all think that the AEW Tag Team Division's in bad shape? We had the Sons of Texas.
I will say, I don't love what's happening to the record books when they don't care about. Like, Lee Moriarty is now the longest reigning ROH Pure Champion. I love Lee. He's one of my favorite, I think one of the most underrated performers in the world. Him passing Nigel when he's had, like, he had some really great defenses earlier in his reign, but, like, not much since. Like, it does kind of break my heart when you mention things like that. Like, that this tag team reign is the thing to dethrone. Like, I don't like record books getting updated this way when they don't care about the product. It's not a matter of the wrestlers that are doing it, especially Lee Moriarty. Like, and we're talking Nigel here. But it's like they just have them because the writers don't care about the product. Like, that's not satisfying. That's not memorable to me, which is a bummer. But I mean, I was hoping that the Sons of Texas were going to drop it to the Righteous like 8 months ago. So I mean, I don't I don't know what to do. I just also like
Righteous
they can't keep going to the Shane. Yeah, now they're not even with the company. Like, it was funny because there's always like the Tony fumbled conversation or whatever. And now that I help with the Fightful account, I see different things. And I saw one quote tweet that said, okay, now Tony fumbled. And that made me like, it made me laugh a little bit, but it also kind of like warmed my heart because like that person understood, like, it's not when free agents go somewhere else. It's like you have this ready-made TV act in the Righteous and you couldn't find something to do with it to the point where they asked for they would rather take a chance on the independence than have the security of a TV contract nonetheless, right? Like that's a Tony fumble. I actually really appreciated like the spirit with which they had said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I just don't want them to go to the Shane Taylor promotions well this much and continue to give them nothing. Because I think they're I genuinely feel this way. I think they are a money-making TV act, especially with Shane Taylor involved and Trish Dora involved, and the Infantry being just a fantastic tag team that fits into that picture. Like, and Lee, like, come on. What part of that doesn't smell like success to you?
You said money-making. He had money in a briefcase. We had money in a briefcase for them, and we just did that for no reason. We never even saw the money again. I thought he was showing the money, and then it was going to end with Dustin getting the money and throwing it into the crowd. I was like, you just did this for no reason. There's just Shane Taylor Promotions should be owning Ring of Honor. We were talking about this a year ago. We were like, Shane Taylor's going to get a shot at the Ring of Honor World Championship. He still hasn't got a shot. We've gone through like 3 different champions since then.
Once a season, he asks for one and doesn't get it. Like once a business quarter. To be honest, a year ago, I thought they would have been. I felt like they were an act that this company cared about because there's Shane Taylor's just so outstanding, to be honest. Like he's such a complete wrestler, and to me, Shane Taylor is a television wrestler. Like that guy he will sell you on a match in one promo kind of guy. He's up there to me as far as like best talkers in wrestling. He's not that far off to me than an Eddie Kingston or a Kevin Owens. Like he will get me invested in one promo. So I thought they'd be further along. Like I was hoping we'd be talking AEW 6-man picture, AEW trios titles at this point now. Like last year, if you asked me a year from now, where would those guys be? I would have said major players in the trios division of AEW because I really genuinely felt that. So that's a bummer, but what's not a bummer is the support that we get from you guys. Thank you so much for sending in these chats. Thank you to SB3, who it's like 5:30 in the morning his time, for doing this, but I'm glad that we got some action that made it worth staying up for. But Meat Norm is saying, I got a fancy air fryer on Prime Day, so no chickens or potatoes within 50 miles of the meat castle are safe. Well, we'll keep the Briscoes away from you, those poor chickens. Shall we crank, darlings? How was the show? Top of the card heavy, like back half of the card heavy, but very, very good. It's okay. The evil man can't hurt you.
The House of Torture. The House of Torture.
You know, appropriately named though, I have to say.
Man, you should have heard my rants about Dominion. Dominion, that was just House of Torture for like 4 hours.
It's so funny because it's like the past couple years, the pre-G1 season has been weird. Like Wrestle Kingdom Zach and Shota didn't do it for me, but like a lot, Gabe and Kenny that weekend, Zach and Ricochet was great. Like a lot of other really good things happened.
Wrestle Dynasty was great.
Wrestle Dynasty
Wrestle Kingdom,
the better show in that. Yeah. But they go through this like pre-G1 slump every year, I feel like, and then the G1 resets them until early the next year. Everybody, I feel like every wrestling promotion has like these mid-season slumps, and they're a 365-day schedule. Like AEW's Tony Khan goes to football season, and from October to December, things just go to shit. Like it's nuts. It's nuts.
That's why I've been telling everybody. I was like, he's never had a problem early part of the year. Let's wait till September. Let's see what happens after Forbidden Door. If he slips up behind after Forbidden Door, it's now his habit, because he had a reason in 2022. Brawl Out happened. He had a reason in 2023. CM Punk got fired. 2024, there was no reason. It just got bad. After All In and All Out. It just got bad. He lost it. He had one story for the Death Riders, and then it became something else by the end of the year. He was confused. He didn't know what we was doing. People are trying to say, oh, the whole 2025 has been great for AEW. You did not live through January 2025, because he did not get his act together until February, because we had to deal with Jeff Jarrett calling women whores on national TV.
You know, I will say, I thought like 2024, the 2023, there was that slump, but the Continental Classic being a fresh new concept and meticulously planned bailed them out. 2024, the C2 didn't do that for them in the same way. It was still fun, but it was not product shifting level fun. This year will be an interesting test. Yeah. And I feel like, considering how bad the product was, they turned it around pretty quick. Like, within 2 months, it was headed in the right direction, and then I would say within 4 months, it was like, okay, we're back to throwing our fastball again.
Yes.
C. Delgado says, if math is right, Athena passes 1,000 days right before death, before dishonor. It's time to pass the torch to Billie Starkz. I agree with quite literally all of this.
I mean,
let's
I was
talk about
here
her
for
stomach.
that. I was here for that before.
A year
but
ago?
then I was in Hammerstein Ballroom, and I literally, you could ask Lyric, you could ask Kimmy. I was on the floor like, what? What just happened? What just did Athena just win?
I would have thought that this would have been the place where Athena drops to Billie to complete that, and then she's on to her AEW chapter. Here's the reason I like that Athena retains. I feel Toni Storm is going over tomorrow. And I also feel like Toni Storm going over tomorrow is going to be the pulling of the thread where Mercedes Moné unravels. And along that timeline, I think it's possible that Athena is the one to take the TBS title from her. And maybe she drops it to Billie and then pretty immediately wins it. Like if she drops to Billie in August and wins it at All Out, that would be like I feel like Athena needs to be extremely important the second she drops the ROH title on AEW television. Like I love the idea of her winning a title almost immediately. And I think Chris and Willow need to move on to bigger other things, maybe women's tag titles, maybe whatever. But her hitting the 1,000-day mark, I think is fun. Her getting to retain in Texas is fun. I think it's flat out mean to Billie Starkz if they don't complete the trilogy, because like her to climb the mountain twice and lose and then just be a loser sucks. Like that's like low key kind of mean to do to a performer who's very good as like a punishment for no reason. So I do think that's probably the long game. It's just the longest game in the history of the world. This is 18 innings when there's supposed to be a doubleheader. This is ridiculous. This is the bloodline nonsense. We're in the third inning just with less people in it. So I agree with that chat. And from what I could tell, again, I was on air for most of this, but this was the best Thunder Rose has looked in a bit. Like this was the most comfortable she's looked to. I think she feels more comfortable in stuff that's like one-on-one matches with time, which is like a pretty native wrestling environment. But a lot of women's matches in AEW are short on time, and they do a lot of multi-women's matches to try and keep that talent rotation up. I thought this was the best she's looked in a minute, and I don't think she's looked bad, certainly, of recent, but I just feel like we got like a women's title match tonight that felt good, and I was glad both of them got to do this in their home states. Athena's incredible. Have her break the 1,000 days. You're close enough at this point, and also having her drop in Philly would be great because I would get to be there. So.
Yeah, like like when she lost that final battle, when she won that final battle, I was just like, wait, what? And it took me a few months to kind of understand what's going on, and then we got into Supercard being pushed from May. First, it's pushed from WrestleMania week to May, and then it was pushed from May to this week. And I think after it was pushed from May to this week, I was like, oh, they're trying to get Athena to 1,000 days. This makes sense. Like this, I was one of the few guys that on prediction shows before WrestleMania 39, I was like, oh, Roman's winning against Cody. And everybody would ask me why. I was like, he needs to hit 1,000 days.
They love that.
They want to hit stuff. Like that wrestling in general. It's been so many years before like the Roman Reigns thing that we had a champion that hit 1,000 days. And so a place like Ring of Honor has never had anyone hit 1,000 days. Tony Khan has never booked a champion that's held the title for 1,000 days in 6 years of being a wrestling booker. So he has the opportunity to do this with Ring of Honor because he doesn't use the champions all that much on TV every single week. We had like 2-3 months of Athena being gone from Ring of Honor this year already. So like, yeah, it's easy to kind of get that there with how
like a big you're not getting injured before Mercedes moment.
Pretty much. That's what it was. But yeah, they do that type of stuff. So it makes sense. And Death Before Dishonor, just in the name, it makes sense for that to be the death of her title reign. 1,000
Sure.
days, and then you ended on that, and she drops the title to Billy. So I do agree with that booking. As far as this matchup, I thought this was the two matches that I think that Thunder Rosa has been Thunder Rosa again since coming back from injury in late 2023 was the Timeless Tony Storm matchup at Dynasty last year, because
Yes.
that was Tony coming off of really putting the character together with the in-ring work when Azumi found her working boots back in Japan, and she had that really good matchup with her on Collision, and then right after that she faced Thunder Rosa at Dynasty, and they had a great matchup together. And this match here, I thought that this was different because it was very old school in nature. It was very much your limb work with Thunder Rosa attacking Athena's arm and doing different unique moves like knees off of like a springboard into the knee, into the arm. She was doing Kimura locks at different points, cross arm breakers. And then it was Athena coming back and focusing on the established back injury of Thunder Rosa. And I love that you can have something that, you were injured 2-3 years ago, but if you're wearing adhesive tape on that, that's going to be an important part of the matchup. So I knew when I saw the adhesive tape, I was like, oh, Athena's going to probably go after the back. So when she does the back suplex on the barricade, I was like, okay, here we go. And she just started brutalizing her back. And it really got good as the limb work, and that was established with both women having their injury. I like that Thunder Rosa started like really kind of limping, but it's that back on my back limp, and she started moving a little bit slower even when she's doing the drop kick into the corner where she usually picks up the speed. There she did like a little bit of a limp into the run. That was really good. The selling and the psychology of this matchup was very old school in nature, and I thought that made it a very damn great matchup here. I thought the two ladies worked really well with each other. The crowd was into everything, as you would expect them to do, because they were very much split between the Thunder Rosa chants, the Athena chants, and it made the down the stretch, the closing stretch of the matchup really kind of engaging. Despite me knowing that Athena was going to win, I thought there was a chance that Thunder Rosa could win because she was doing so many unique moves. She's doing like cross arm, she's doing the knee to the arm and stuff. I thought there was a chance that she could win, but once Athena puts her through the table on the power bomb, I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work out for you.
Rosa,
And then
I don't know how to tell you.
she did the awesome bomb. She did the awesome bomb on her. And I was like, oh, you're poor back. And then she puts her in that half surfboard stretch. And I'm like, please, Thunder, get to the ropes. I was like, no, you're not going anywhere, are you? She taps out. I was like, damn. I was really great matchup. That was probably my second favorite of the night. I thought it was very, like I said, old school. It was about selling and establish injuries. And they really did a damn good job in the semi-main event spot.
I think I love everything you said, and when you said that the layout of it was kind of old school, they don't do that a ton in wrestling with women's matches, especially. Like that felt like a playbook that is usually done on the men's wrestling side, and I like that it got applied here because there was something that felt very it brought out the viciousness of Athena, and she's been in her title reign. They're saying she's like 66-0. Yeah, like she's wrestled a lot, and in that we've seen so many variations of her being a proper vicious heel. We've seen her being a silly heel with Mid University. We've seen all these things. For her just to like have this match that reminds us that she's a Punisher, there was something really refreshing about like just a reminder, this is who the fuck I am, was a really nice thing to have in this. I really did appreciate it. And I this is another one I didn't get to see in full, but from everything you're saying, those were the things I noticed. Like I like in-ring stories that if somebody has, with Kenny, it's almost gotten like a little overkill of like, we're attacking him in the diverticulitis and nowhere else. Like that's getting a little ridiculous. But like with Thunder Rosa, the type of wrestler that Athena is, she would be targeting that back the whole time, and she would find 8 different ways to do it. And I really, really like that they did that. And it's just nice that they gave this time too. Like, I know there were a lot of people who wanted this to main event, and I understand that because Athena is the attraction. But with the main event that we ended up getting and the fact that Athena retained, I think it was wise that this didn't. And once the opponent was Thunder Rosa and not Billy, I was like, maybe she's retaining. So, I'm glad that they did this in kind of an appropriate order. But guys, get in your super chats and your Humper chats. I love this 2LT photo say, can't wait to watch these two mains after the SP3 hype. Genuinely extremely different matches and so great. So great.
Yeah.
That main event.
And we're getting Syuri. We're getting Syuri. Syuri is coming.
Next?
Oh, let's talk about it. That got me so hyped because they say, "Oh, someone's coming," and then they go to a video package and she pulls up the hoodie and it's Syuri, one of the greatest World of Stardom champions of all time. Back in 2022, Syuri was the best women's wrestler in the world. She was the World of Stardom champion. She was coming off of winning the 5-star Grand Prix the year prior. She put on one of the greatest matches in Stardom history with Utami Hayashishita back in that was like in 2021. 5.5 stars. That's talked about as like the greatest women's match in Joshi history. And we got the reports about a few weeks ago or last week that she was taking some time off from Stardom and having a excursion in the United States. So I suspected she would be making an appearance in AEW because of their relationship with Stardom, but I didn't expect it to be announced this quick. And they said that she's not only going to be in Ring of Honor, she's also going to be in AEW. So there's a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance she could be in the Casino Gauntlet tomorrow, which I am hyped for. But I think the end game may be, maybe it's not Billy at Death Before Dishonor. Maybe it's Syuri. Maybe if Syuri is staying in the United States a little bit longer, and Syuri can be the one that puts over Billy. You could do something like that. There's always there's always another. She's kind of the final boss, the new Meiko Satomura, final boss of Japan in a lot of ways, and she's coming off one of the matches of the year with Sarai at the conversion for Stardom that was in June. She had another match of the year candidate with Mayu Iwatani back at Stardom All-Star Grand Queendom. So she's put on great matches so far this year, and I think she can have even more with the roster of talent on the AEW Women's Division and Ring of Honor. But that got me so excited, especially being in Ring of Honor. And like I said, this was one of the things that got me excited for what's next for Ring of Honor, because I don't have to wait 6 months for the next pay-per-view. Sure. It's in 2 months. So maybe we'll get a more focused TV product. I'm not going to hold my breath, but he knows that he doesn't have that much time before he has to make a new card for a pay-per-view.
I think there's also just the fact that like AEW's in a groove right now, and it feels like I've been shouting this from the rooftops, and I think it needs to be a bigger conversation. The pacing into pay-per-views last year was a problem the entire year. This year, I think it's been pretty phenomenal for the most part, especially going into this. But in general, like, they can make matches, not moments. There's been some damn moments, and everything's had stories. Like, I really feel like they've done a good job fixing that. So I feel like maybe if AEW is in enough of a rhythm, we could pay a little more attention to the ROH side of things. And I feel like ROH benefits from when they're in these stretches of residencies every time, and they do have one in Philly, and that time not super long, but enough that every time that they're grounded in one place, it feels like ROH thrives off of those. So I am looking forward to those types of things. But to your point, Syuri Kondo, like, genuinely my first thought was, I'm so happy for Shawn, because he's been saying that's my favorite in-ring performer in the world, like, for a while now. So that was my first thought. I was like, I'm so glad he was actually there when that announcement happened. And my second thought was, I love the openness of the landscape that allows for her to come in, and we'll see if she's all elite, or if she's stopping by to kick some asses, take some names, and then head back. We'll find out. But the depth of this women's roster is really incredible. I'm hoping she's in that Casino Gauntlet too. That would be really cool, and it would be a cool use of ROH to tease something like that, because they don't always do that either, because ROH pay-per-views aren't always stacked with AEW in this way. So I think that is fun. Well, let's breeze through the 0 hour, and you can just tell me if there was any standouts. I'll read all of the matches that we got, and you can just tell me if there was anything that jumped out at you. I will say, I did see our friends in MXM Collection who had their Ribera steak jacket saying that when they jack it together. So where jacket time left off in NXT 2.0, they have picked up. I'm pretty sure Mason's a vegetarian too, so that's even funnier that they went to the steakhouse. But Johnny TV, Taya Valkyrie, and MXM Collection making their return, where they introduced their new fragrance, Seed. So you got that going on
because it grows in you.
That's it. Extremely wholesome group of fellas. That's all I could say. Never
no innuendos.
A double entendre.
What are you
there.
talking about?
No, not at all. They are my mom's favorites because she's seen pictures of them, and I can't send her any of their promos because they're all insanely like I can't as a daughter I can't send that to my mom, but she sees their pictures and she's like I love them, so it's the best. Matches, we got Blake Christian with Lee Johnson defeating Jay Lethal with the Muda Lock, which is awesome. Dark Order with -1, Mr. Brody Lee Jr. defeating the Frat House of Fightful Overbooked fame, I'll say. And Diamante defeating Lady Frost. Very nice to see her back in action with the swinging net breaker as well. Very, very fun. And the Von Erichs, who got a nice reception, defeating the Premier Athletes, Arya Davari and Tony Nese, with the moonsault from Marshall Anthony's, to which I say, where the fuck is Josh Woods? I will always say that every second of every day.
Yeah, keep it consistent. To mention some stuff from 0 hour, Blake Christian wasn't the Muda Lock, it was the Vanilla Choke Zero. Remember, folks, Vanilla Choke Zero.
Of course.
Yeah. Of also a Fightful Overbooked and In the Weeds fame. He was on In the Weeds on Wednesday. Right. Jeremy and Joel did a great interview with him. Big victory, defeating a former 2-time Ring of Honor World Champion. Sort of an upset because I was like, there's probably a chance that Lethal can win this. And and I thought that Diamante, she did like a Hangman's roll of the dice or Hangman's crossroads. That was the finish for her. So she looked good in her return to Ring of Honor. So yeah, that was, and we got to see Brody Lee Jr., who is already a worker because he made an appearance here, and then apparently he worked the GCW show in the same night. That kid is the future of this business. He's the future ace. He's making all the bookings, doing 2 shows in one night.
He's doing a loop, brother. He's working the towns in Texas. I love it. Sincerely, the way people talk about Brody Lee Jr. is so sweet because, well, one, he's just in those ages where you're growing like 8 inches every year. Like he's now like growing into a young man from a little boy, which is crazy. But so many people have said like he really loves this and is like very committed to it and will be like hard on himself and whatever. Like he just really loves pro wrestling, it sounds like. And I think that's such a beautiful thing to have blossom in through his dad's legacy of like, it sounds like it's in his heart. It's not forced upon him in any way. It's not whatever. Like he just really, really loves this. He loves training at the dungeon. Like it really feels like from what everyone said and what everybody's seen that this is a really beautiful way to carry on Brody's name. So absolutely love that. Let's talk about something that surprising that this was on this card. Glad it was. Hechicero and Michael Oku. Guillotine leg drop in this. My God. Can we run it back 6 more times?
Oh my God. Michael Oku is a maniac for doing that move, taking that move and the bump that he takes on it, where it's basically like a leg lock DDT. He just guillotines him and he just drops down right on his head, taking this out. And Michael Oku, man, he just carries himself like a star. When he made his entrance, I was like, yeah, you should just be signed. You should just be signed off your entrance. let alone this really damn good opener to the show. The crowd was into it, and some great technical wrestling as you would expect from Hechicero, but Michael Oku can keep up with him at the same time and can also sprinkle in some lucha libre. They work really well with each other, and Hechicero even the score. So now they're 1-1. So we got to get a rubber matchup. Book it on TV. Why don't you, Tony, to hype up Hechicero? Because we didn't mention after the Bandido win against Takeshita, Hechicero came out and teased that he's coming for the Ring of Honor World Championship. So I suspect that might be the main event for Death Before Dishonor, or the Ring of Honor World Title match for Death Before Dishonor.
That would be a fantastic choice, and this was fun because this opened the main card, right? Yeah. What a fun tone setting match too for everything that was to come. I don't know why Michael Oku's not signed. That guy is as complete of a full package as anybody could possibly want. He's got everything you would need. I love Amira too. I love her on so many levels. She is great for pro wrestling, as a part of this act, as a human being, as a representative of what it is to be a woman in this role in pro wrestling. I just can't say enough good things about Amira. But Michael Oku,
British Macho Man and Liz.
Yes, I love that. I love that comparison. Fantastic stuff. And it's so fun because this was one of those ones that I didn't know I needed this matchup, but then as soon as I heard it was happening, I was like, I need that 100 times. This is not something I would have put together in my wrestling brain, but once it was announced, I was like, oh, that's gonna be a sleeper hit too. That's gonna be really fun. So I hope they do run that back.
Agreed.
SB3, I also hope that I learn to wrestle to the point where I could just enter one of these 50 grand 4-way matches. Because if there's even a shot in hell I can win, why wouldn't I? Okay, AR Fox is 50 grand richer now. He defeats Adam Priest, who has had some reps on AEW and has been great. Atlantis Jr. and Lee Johnson. Was very glad to see Blake Christian and Lee Johnson both get spots on this card, because if they're an alliance and not a proper tag team, I feel like we saw so much growth out of Lee, and I don't want to see that regress in any way, shape, or form. But AR Fox has just been outstanding of recent. He's had a lot more reps on TV. Love that he gets the win here. Love that he gets a win, because he's mostly been wow, he looks great in a loss. He looks awesome in this 4-pack where he loses. Has been the role he's been playing right now, and I'm sure they'll heat him up at the right time. But this was a blast. This was another one where it wasn't it was a ton of stakes for AR Fox, but not a ton of kayfabe wrestling stakes. But there's some fun action and a fun mix of styles in this. I had no problem with this. What do you think?
It's one of Tony Khan's staples on TV as of late. It's party, 6-man, 8-man tags, and 4-ways for money. Those are his two staples on TV that have
money and All-Star games, baby. That's
money and All-Star
games
seems to go well with him. And AR Fox, he's been awesome. He's really, as Mark Briscoe has kind of taken a step up in where they position him on the card. It's like AR Fox has filled the Mark Briscoe spot of mid-card guy who can go out there, have good to great matches, but always loses. And he's filled that spot pretty well on AEW TV. But I would love for him to fill another Mark Briscoe spot of guy who loses on AEW but wins on ROH, and he's well on his way to doing that. So get in mind.
I like what you said about him, kind of the domino effect of Mark Briscoe being elevated, and then so someone else kind of steps into the role he was in. Shout out to MJF for calling Jeremy names for his take about.
I was like, I don't appreciate the fact that Max did not watch it and hear me praising the promo. Jeremy had an issue with the promo. I was like, well, I liked it. I actually liked it.
He responded to Jeremy in his defense.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I was actually with you because I interpreted it differently than Jeremy did. I felt like it was more about Mark saying, I know what you're going to say. And MJF saying, I'll just twist the knife the other way if you think.
Exactly.
If you're so ahead of it, like, I'm just going to twist the knife the other way. I understand why Jeremy didn't like it, but I feel like I really love the Ric Flair and Dusty trilogy. Like, that holds a very special place in my wrestling heart. And something about the second one, especially, there's just something in Dusty selling in that second one. And this is kind of giving me a similar vibe, like Mark Briscoe kind of having this hard times air about him, saying that he was proud to be a redneck, that he was proud to have earned every dollar that he's been able to put in his pocket, and MJF obviously being the rich asshole suit wearing guy. I really like that. I really like that. So I've liked that, and I've liked seeing Mark Briscoe get elevated and maybe even win some things, and AR Fox pop up. But you're right, we've seen these all-star 8-man tags and these money matches come into play. I think Shawn said on the AEW post show he would love to see someone win like 10 of those and then all of a sudden start showing up in limousines. Like, like, if he suddenly is winning 4 $50,000 matches, that guy's 200 grand richer, and then like maybe all of a sudden AR Fox is showing up in some name brand stuff. Like, I actually think that would be a really fun angle if you're going to continue to put these out there. Like, have the same guy win a bunch of them. That's like an actual fun storytelling device instead of just making it like, there's no stakes on this match, so we'll do this.
Yeah, we need Hologram to have some new gear after he won the pesos. Come on.
That's right. He should. We're going to keep it going, guys. I know it's 10:01 our time. That means the sun is coming up for SP3, but you guys have been so great. A couple more super chats that we have coming in from C. Delgado, who said, with 2 residencies coming up, maybe ROH gets a boost. That's what I'm hoping. ROH is always in its groove when they stay put. So fingers crossed. And we have this chat that says, I want to do Tommy and Athena when she was over here a couple years ago, but I'll take Syuri instead. Yeah, Athena and Syuri Kondo. My God. Do you want to talk about that next? You want to talk about this interim ROH Women's TV title match that was won by Mina Shirakawa? I love the choice of giving it to Mina. I think that's very fun. Red Velvet is ringside, and she's, whatever the injury is, she's able to at least like be present and still travel and help out with stuff and stories. So feels like she's not so far off, but this was a fun way to get Miyu on the card, who's fantastic. Yuka on the card, who everybody loves. Persephone, who's a standout. I'm still learning about Persephone, but the appearances I've seen have been incredible. And I like being able to strap up Mina with something, because the women's division, blessedly, and AEW is loaded. So giving her something of significance that she can use while she works across both brands, I think is a valuable call. And I also want to see Red Velvet and Mina Shirakawa. Like, I want to see that match when the time comes. So I really do like that. Was glad to see Red Velvet here. They don't normally do interim titles for somebody that's going to be back super soon, though. So I'm not optimistic it's going to be like in the very near future, but the fact that she was around for it makes me happy. What did you think of the match that we got here? I wish they utilized the ROH women's roster more, like Rachel Ellering or whoever, but like I'm glad that they did this. This was a fun 4-pack.
Really enjoyed this matchup. I thought all the ladies worked really well. You know, Miyu Yamashita, she's one of the best in the business. Her kicks are just ridiculous and lethal. And anytime she was in the ring with Yuka Sakazaki, I was like, yeah, you could tell these two women know each other very well, because they came up in that Tokyo Joshi Pro system. And Yuka was awesome, though. Her going like semi-dark, but at the same time, she's still Yuka Sakazaki and still smiling as she's doing evil stuff was hilarious the entire time. I enjoyed the hell out of that. Mina is great. She's got the live show charisma, as they always say, with her, and she just knows how to get the biggest reactions from the crowd. The really impressive one in this one was Persephone, because like you said, she was the one out of everybody you haven't seen the most, but I seen her a lot, you know, because I've been up on my CMLL since I got the membership for a month, and I've been watching the Friday shows. I'll probably watch tonight's show tomorrow when I wake up in like 2 hours, but I enjoy
bless.
her work, but she's mostly a baby face there. So it was cool to see her get heat and be the heel in the matchup. So I thought she really stood out. She has a bunch of agility for someone who's not the smallest girl. Like she has a lot of agility to her and athleticism that she's able to use. But the most thing that I like is how you were able to see kind of her character and her cockiness in this matchup. I thought she was the big standout for the match, but a really, really fun matchup here. And I agree with you. Mina Shirakawa was the right choice to win because the Red Velvet matchup, I can see that if Red is healthy, being on Death Before Dishonor.
I agree, and I like what you said about Persephone there too, because there were parts of this match it felt like were designed to showcase her. Like, I'm glad that they all had their time to shine, but like I feel like we saw who Persephone is in a full 360 view tonight, and I really liked it. I really, really enjoyed it. Let's knock through some more of these. Thanks for hanging out with us late, you guys. We got a lot of wrestling coverage coming up this week. We are going to actually tell you about our friends at MyBookie too, because you can bet on wrestling. They don't have all the wrestling this weekend up there for betting, but you can head over to MyBookie and you can place some wagers over there. You can go on over.
MyBookie AG is where Fightful is getting all of our odds, not just pro wrestling, which, yeah, you can bet on pro wrestling, UFC, boxing. That's where we're getting our odds from. If you're watching In the Weeds and they're talking about basketball odds, it's going to be from MyBookie AG. Use the code FIGHTFUL, get a $50 bonus when you deposit $100, or get a $100 bonus when you deposit $200. Check it out. If you think you know more than the average wrestling fan, head over to MyBookie. They have some odds up all the time for upcoming events, whether it be WWE, AEW, anybody. Make sure you check them out in addition to their other fantastic deals. They've been around for quite a while, very reliable. MyBookie AG. Use that code FIGHTFUL. Now, only bet what you can, and please bet responsibly, but head over, see what lines they got now. Not just for pro wrestling. Maybe you're interested in baseball, football, basketball, soccer, or just football again, right? MyBookie AG.
MyBookie
Shout outs to
AG.
Shawn. Shout outs to Shawn for shouting out me and Jeremy, who talk way more basketball than wrestling sometimes. So I appreciate him for the shout out there.
Yeah, you guys started with basketball the other day, and I was like, or with wrestling the other day, and I was like, are they okay? Like, the show started a half hour ago, and they started talking about wrestling 3 minutes in. Are they all right? My goodness. Genuinely, I say this not to gas you up, but at my work days, I have In the Weeds on now more than I ever have, and it's so fun having the balance of Joel coming in and you coming in because your energies are different in a really refreshing way, and I love hearing about the C-suite. I love hearing about anything but wrestling for the first hour of it. Like it's so much fun. It's so much fun. And it's great because I can only hear Joel talk about TNA so much. You know what I mean? Learn a wrestling move, Joel. No, I'm just kidding.
Bury him, yeah.
Yeah, Joel. I just love picking on Joel. He's such a wonderful person, but it is a really fun dynamic. If you're like someone that has your headphones in at work, put it on. It's fun if you want to hear some not so close up talk about wrestling. Like it's not match by matchy stuff. It's a higher view, and it's a lot of fun and good stuff happening on there. And where I used to just put on music, I now put on you guys, and it's a lot of fun. I've been enjoying it. So best morning show in wrestling. Busted open, going 24/7. They're not a morning show anymore. They're a 24/7 channel.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Exactly. They don't count. We won. You
ran them out the territory. You ran them out the territory into being a 24/7 channel.
Looks like we're gonna change genres.
Look, Rekka. Now you're only 24/7.
We're Eminem. We're Machine Gun Kelly. Now you got to do rock music.
You've gone pop funk now. Look, Rekka. Oh my god. I love Look Rekka so much. Genuinely, yeah, he's awesome. I love that dude. He just does so much like fire, and I love it. Like,
Yes.
anybody who's passionate about stuff like I'm Alex Pulowski's co-host every week. Okay, that guy's like, I'm gonna throw bricks at the moon, and I'm like, I love it. Let's talk. Like, it's the best. If you love wrestling, I love listening to you talk about it.
I just love Alex. Alex Pulowski is one of my favorite people to do it, and I spent years wanting to do stuff with Alex, and then to be able to do the couple of shows that I have done, I'll never forget that Dynasty one when the birds were outside my house just chirping, and then they were reacting to me being angry that the Young Bucks ruined that main event at Dynasty.
They were like, "You're chirping, we're chirping." That's what we're saying. That's what we're saying. I love it. We got a couple more matches to talk about. Let's talk about this ROH Pure Championship match. I don't know what happened with the women's Pure tournament or whatever is or isn't happening with that. I don't know why they created that title. It feels like a consolation prize to Deonna Purrazzo for no reason is how that is felt so far. I don't know why they did this, but
this is another thing that I had these random Twitter accounts that were like, "Oh, you're upset that the women get another title?" No, I'm upset because there's no Ring of Honor women's division. So why do you need 3 singles titles? That's what I was upset about. And I had these people that were like getting mad at me for questioning, why do we need a 3rd women's title in Ring of Honor of all places?
Especially when they desperately need tag titles. Like it was a choice. It was a choice. But on the men's side, we've got Lee Moriarty as your longest reigning Pure champion ever. So congratulations to him, even though I wish the booking supported him more strongly. I'm very happy for the guy and the wrestler that he is, and the defenses he has had have been great. But he is against Blue Panther in this, and I love the Border City stretch. I love it even more when it's rope assisted. So I had a lot of fun watching this. Blue Panther, a fun person to mix it up under Pure rules with too, because we're seeing a lot more diversity in what it means to be a luchador, I think, in wrestling on as far as American representation goes than we have in a very long time. Like, being a luchador doesn't always mean you're a high flyer. Being a luchador doesn't like put you in a box the way that it used to when you have guys like Blue Panther, Necessero that are like known in lucha wrestling, I think, as being more than that. But now are on the American radar as being more than that to maybe less knowledgeable fans. And I think that's awesome. I think that's really cool. I had a lot of fun watching this. I just would love for this to feel like a bigger deal considering how long Leah's been champion, if that makes sense. Like, I wish it was less thrown together. That kind of is the vibe of ROH, though. It's going to always over deliver on in-ring. It's going to always be giving me short on the build, right? So what did you think of this? I thought it was great.
Yeah, I thought this was really good. I thought that Blue Panther might be one of the better 60-year-old wrestlers I've seen in quite some time. Like, he's like 65, but he knows how to work. He worked a smart matchup, and Lee worked around kind of his limitations, being his age. And I thought the story of the matchup was really well done with using the Pure rules. Where Pure rules, we talked about it when we were doing the weekly show. It's a chess match. That's all it really is. It's a chess match. It's a checkers match. Whatever game you're playing where it's strategic, you have to have a plan and a mindset going in. And Lee's mindset is to make his opponent use all their rope breaks, and it worked to perfection once again. Where Blue Panther was stuck in the ropes, and he just used that to his advantage. It's like a STF version of the Border City stretch, which I think is the first time that he's done that. That was really cool, really well done. So it was smart, well worked. It was a good matchup between these two guys. So shout outs to Blue Panther, because he impressed the hell out of me, and now I understand why Bryan Danielson is such a big fan.
Truly. Like, it's interesting too, because I feel like we are seeing more longevity out of certain luchadors that maybe do avoid what traditional style is as far as the American perception of it. And like family lineage is such a key integral part of lucha wrestling that it's cool when the seniors or the older crop of the seniors, meaning like the first of, or the first iteration of something that gets passed out is still active and they're with like their kids doing stuff. And it is really cool to see the longevity of some luchadors that we didn't get to see really on American television in the same way, because their legend follows them. And you hear people like Bryan Danielson talking about how great they are and things like that. So I appreciated that about this too. And you're right. This was not like, oh, he can still go for his, like, no, he was just killing it. He was just killing it. So we did have the Infantry, Trish Adora and Shane Taylor attacking Guevara and Rhodes after the tag match, which I did not mention earlier. So I did just want to make a note of
Anthony
that.
Ogogo. Anthony Ogogo was back. Shout outs to Anthony Ogogo. It was good to see him back.
I'm glad he's a back.
He's a backpack and a go-go. And the Von Erichs, the other sons of Texas, because they're a big family of sons. The other sons of Texas made the save, and then Dustin Rhodes says he wants a shootout across the street in Grove Life Field. We're gonna have a shootout. And all that meant was an 8-man tag team matchup got added to the 0 hour, because that's all AEW needed was another match on 0 hour.
I think you know what though, I'll say this, that main card is one of the leaner cards they've ever had, and everything feels consequential. So you want to add a bunch of stuff to the 0 hour, I'm not mad about that. I feel like you got to do something on theme if you're going to call it a shootout though. Give us something. There's got to be something cute about it. You can't just go calling it a shootout if you're not going to do something fun. Let's wrap up with this ROH World Television Championship match with Nick Wayne and Mother Wayne and Kip Sabian defeating Teton. A lot of lucha on this, which I think was a smart call because of where they are. Lucha wrestling is an attraction on its own, much less the luchadors themselves. Like Shawn has mentioned several times, they'll just advertise Lucha Libre in certain areas of like Texas and beyond. Because that is the attraction. It's not even just the specific people. So having a lot of lucha presence on this card made a whole bunch of sense. And Teton is incredible. Like this was fun. Nick Wayne is a drastically improved wrestler. I feel like this angle with the patriarchy has gone on very, very long and is now at the point of diminishing returns. But Nick Wayne has really, I think, grown into the wrestler that we were hoping he would become. Like that, you saw a bunch of the potential when he immediately signed, and I feel like he's really, really on track to be kind of everything that we were looking for, everything we were hoping for, at everything that we kind of saw with him. This was good. I have no complaints about that, other than the fact that, like a lot of things on this card, not exactly a lot of story, but like every ROH pay-per-view, they over-deliver on in-ring, so who's to say? But what do you think of our ROH TV title match here?
This was very much like a New Japan story going in, because he beat him in the Best of Super Juniors. Like that loss at the end of the tournament is the reason why Nick Wayne wasn't able to make it to the finals. And then they had the matchup in Arena Mexico that went to the 10-minute time limit in the Proving Ground matchup, where it looked like Teton was on the way to winning. So I really like the difference in styles, because Teton is not like your regular kind of luchador as well, but he's a younger guy, so he can do some high flying, but he's very technical, and how he goes into Immortal is so good. It's like it's kind of like so compelling when he gets you into Immortal, because it's like a multi-step submission where he gets you into first like a Muda lock with the legs crossed, and he bends back and he can grab you by your like chin and pull back, but then he wants to grab both arms, and he has to grab both arms and put it around you like that, yes, and wrench back. When he does that, it's over. So the fact that they did it where he grabbed one arm of Nick, but Nick kept putting the other arm away, and then he was getting closer to the rope, but then he grabbed that arm, but he let go of the other arm, and then Nick was finally able to get to the ropes. That was very, very great to watch, and how compelling that was, and how the crowd reacted to it as well. I thought these guys over-delivered. I thought this was a really good matchup, and out of the 3 matches that they have, I thought this was the best one. It was a lot of good close near falls down the stretch as well. I like Nick getting some help from Kip Sabian, and the one thing that I'll disagree with you is that I think that the benefit to this kind of going long in the tooth is that Nick finally feels comfortable as a heel. He was very much getting the little things right in this matchup, like playing to the crowd, showing his cockiness going into the matchup, and then his selling down the stretch where Teton was hitting the big moves like the double stomp on the apron and the double stomp in the ring, and the different submission he was able to get him in, and the desperation that Nick was showing. He's kindly got like what it means to work in the ring as a heel. So I think that's the one benefit for how long the whole patriarchy story has gone on.
You know what? I won't disagree with that. I like that. I like that point. Well said. Teton is 34. He is 14 years older than Nick Wayne. That's insane. This guy's like in his prime, and Nick Wayne is 14 years younger than him. That's ridiculous. Baby Nick Wayne. My goodness. AEW won a fantastic supporter of Fightful, a Fightful Awards sponsor. Check them out. Said, I was in Esports Stadium tonight. AEW ROH has something really special on their hands with this venue. I adored it. Put it on your bucket list. They have done extremely well there from a like business standpoint, but what I always hear is that just like the vibes, just the vibes of that place are fun, and that it's just a really fun venue like that. It's a little more modern, and it's a great place to experience a wrestling show at. So thank you for your chat. I've heard a lot of similar, and also people on the AEW side have told me like that they really like it. It's very easy to put on a show there. They love that the crowd has the energy that they do every time they're there, that it's a very good place to, from their perspective, from a production perspective, to be able to run a show as well. So we'll probably see continued success in the future there. Let's hope. But let's also get more East Coast success, because that's where I live and I like going to these shows. So let's make sure we keep Hammerstein on the list too, which sounds like it's the plan, but
exactly. I might be back in New York by December, so please, Tony, please.
There you go. See, I'll come with you this time, as long as it's not conflicting with some family plans. But man, it's 1:11 in the morning my time. That means it's what, 5:11 by you? 6:11?
6:11.
6:11 by you. 4,300 of you are watching, which makes me not want to turn this off, but I think it is time.
Wow.
Thank you for tuning in across all platforms. It is. I love that people are like, it's all in week. We're having the slumber party talking about ROH, but across platforms, over 4,000 of you watching. I'll tell you right now, I didn't have an ad read plan, but when I saw how many of you were like, no, we are tuning in, we want to talk about Takeshita Bandido, I said, let's give our wonderful partners at MyBookie some love over here. So thank you for sticking with us. SP3, I say it all the time, but truly, what a workhorse in this industry. Where can people see you all weekend and all week headed in to this very busy weekend that we have coming up? And how excited are you for Goldberg versus Gunther?
I'll answer that one first. So excited. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it.
So excited, so scared. Is that how you are?
So scared he might win. Me and Jeremy, we do a new show on Fightful Select on the Discord channel. We do it live for y'all, and then we put it on Fightful Overbook. It's called Worst of the Weeds, and this last week we watched all of the Goldberg Saudi classics. So now I'm very scared of what we're gonna see. All the Goldberg Saudi classics, which amounted about 45 minutes of watching Goldberg matches. So. Including the entrances. But yes, Follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. You can see most of my content as far as like this video, podcasting, the True Hill Heat wrestling YouTube channel. I'll be there live tomorrow morning, 10:05 a.m. Eastern Time, the True Hill Heat flagship podcast. It'll be myself, Miss Chrissy Love, Top Guy JJ, and the True Draw Josh. The whole gang will be there for our all-in preview edition of the flagship podcast. We'll be talking about this week in wrestling. I'll be talking about Bandido and Takeshita some more. So if you want to hear me wax lyrically about this matchup, I will be doing that tomorrow. Be talking about CMLL as well, and also WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, because Tai Chi's in the G1. Let's go. Go out of your way to see Tai Chi and Ishii in Kurgan Hall, because that was the last match I was this excited about outside of Bandido and Takeshita. So yeah, we'll be talking about this week in wrestling and final predictions for all the big shows. AEW All in Texas, Saturday night's main event, Great American Bash, and Evolution. We got watch parties for both of those shows hosted by Romeo tomorrow for All In and Saturday night's main event. Then I'll be live on Sunday at 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time with our AEW All In Texas review. It'll be myself, John Escudero of Dirt Sheet Radio. We'll have the True Draw Josh will be on that, as well as Professor Chris of the NWA podcast. So we got a full round table, so join us for that as well. And then we're doing a watch party for Evolution. And then on Monday, I cap it all off because I'm doing a double whammy where I'll be at the Wrestle Talk office with Luke Owen doing the Evolution review. So I'll be there. So go to Wrestle Talk YouTube channel. I'll be there with Luke Owen to talk all about WWE Evolution. And then I'm heading back home. It takes me like 2 hours on the trains because the trains and buses are ridiculous over here. And then I'll be on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel to review Saturday night's main event and Evolution with Amanda Savage of bodyslam.net and Wrestle Talk. So join me for all of that. Yes, a full week of content, and you can see my written work at si.com. I did a great piece on the Okada Omega rivalry and how it changed pro wrestling and created AEW. I did the preview for All in Texas as well, so check that out at si.com. I do work on WrestleTalk.com. Fightful Overbook in the Weeds every Tuesday, every Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Me and Jeremy usually talking about not wrestling, but you'll enjoy it. Don't worry. And I just want to thank Kate so much. I've told Kate is on the list. She's on the short list of people. It's her, Alice Pulowski, Cresta, and any other people from the Collision post show, because those are all great. They're the only people I will stay up to 4 a.m. my time here in the UK to talk about wrestling. And I don't feel tired. And no, I don't sleep, because I have 2 5-year-olds who are a lot of work, and they'll probably wake me up earlier than I want to tomorrow. But no, I don't sleep because someone needs to talk about wrestling and be very annoyed at the House of Torture in Sons of Texas. I had to watch that.
SP3, I don't think I would have tried to squeeze this review into a weekend where I have 4 other shows in 3 days if it wasn't for SP3. I loved working with Reg too, but I knew he was going to be there, obviously. So very few people that I would be like, stay up till 6 in the morning so we can talk about this. But SP3 is one of them. You can catch me doing the all-in post show with Alex Pulaski tomorrow on the main channel. We are going to try and do a Great American Bash post show as well as a matinee on Sunday, but Cresta and I will have the Evolution post show for you. So if you don't like me, it's a rough time for you on the Fightful channel this weekend, because I'm that a lot of people are in Texas, man. There's a lot of people in Texas. Riccacino's in Atlanta. Like I'm just holding down the Northeast fort over here. So you're stuck with me this weekend if you're watching Fightful content. But we appreciate you guys so much tuning in. We appreciate Bandido and Takeshita and Thunder Rosa and Athena for making it worthy for SP3 to stay up till dawn, making sure that we got this review in. Have a safe and wonderful wrestling weekend. There's so much wrestling on. Watch what you love. We'll be reviewing it all for you this weekend. And yeah, we'll see you for All In and Saturday night's main event tomorrow. Take care.